This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Engine. This is a little live market chat. Friday, February 17th, 2023. Hopefully people are doing well. I know this has been a frustrating process, chop top, as we called it, the double tap trap, whatever you want to call it. Things are looking good and or bearish. You know, a lot of people who are in denial of what's probably coming. That's fine. That's what the market does at inflection points. You have to remember that. At the lows when we were calling for the buys in October, and everybody was freaking out, and then we're talking about buys in December, everybody just couldn't pull the trigger. That's part of trading. As I say, 95%, I mean, not I say, the fact is 95% of traders will fail. I'm hoping only 80% will fail in the Discord room, but in general, what you're going to learn is that your emotions are not your friend, your ego is not your amigo, and you're going to have to be able to cut through the BS. So, on that note, I appreciate all the love, the support, generous donations. It matters to me. Again, even if it's 30 cents, I don't care. To me, it shows that you see the value in getting a free education that no one is charging for, and that you're actually taking the information and using it. Because the people that are having amazing results. And we're doing pretty damn well ourselves. So, in general, if you have any questions, you're part of the Discord room, please chime up, get involved. Again, don't have an ego. When you're trying to learn something new, you have to remember your old ways of doing things got you into where you are now. Trading is a mental game. As Eric always loves to say, learning how to trade is easy. Trading is hard. It's just one of those things. That's the problem with it. It's the emotions, right? It's the emotional baggage you have. It's the losses you have. It's the fear of missing out. It's all the bull crap, in general, in your psyche. And that's the problem. It's hard to execute things when you're not emotionally stable. I mean, I always love to reference it. People will date, marry, and live with someone for the rest of their life that is absolutely terrible for them. And they'll do it because it just feels right. It's the emotions of it. Logic goes out the window. Everyone can tell you something and you still don't change, right? We've all been there. I'm not perfect. Trust me. I had to get slapped around a lot by the market. Again, I've told you guys, up and down, 7-figure losses, and my tuition is not cheap. Hence why my goal is to help folks realize, hey, I can keep you from getting your butt kicked. Got to be careful about swearing. So, on that note, this is just a free chat Friday. I mean, I don't think there's really much to talk about. I mean, I think we'll probably pin to 405 on the SPY. I can talk about the one trade I did today, which was short Tesla and close some SPY. It was just a matter of, a lot of people know I don't pick tops in Tesla until after the fact. And when they start, I'm good. I never have to be early on picking tops in Tesla. I've done really well not. Because again, it's an emotional stock. I mean, look at the roller coaster it goes through and the ways it moves. And so, knowing it's one of the biggest gamed stocks out there, kind of like gold. Again, I know gold very well, and hence why people are like, I can't believe you're shorting gold. We'll go back and look at the videos at the highs. I was telling you that game was going to get busted at some point. Short the miners, dust, hello. And in general, well, Tesla's just, another version of the manic market, essentially, right? At the lows, everyone thinks Tesla's broke, Elon's busted, world's going to end. Not the highs. Tesla's somehow reinvented themselves. They're going to the moon. Cybertruck's going to be amazing. I mean, pull out the headlines and just remember, at the highs and in the lows, the market's feeding you what you want to hear before they trap your ass. If you don't realize that and haven't realized that in all of your trading experience, yikes. Absolutely yikes. Whoa, SMH, what are you doing? What are you doing, girl? Anyway. If you have any thoughts, concerns, questions, please chime in. I'm just ranting to rant. I'm waiting for people to talk. And if it's a Friday and you took the day off, yes, that's what you do. This is swing trading. This is not babysitting, like day trading. I hate day trading. Well, actually, I don't hate it. I like it when it's very obvious based on bigger time frame, like spots, volume at price zones, moving averages, whatever. But sitting around day trading and managing day trades all day is the worst. I mean, I think I joked with you guys. I used to have a plant. I used to have to pee in it because I couldn't get away from my computer. It's like, oh, that plant didn't survive. Well, I wonder why, babe. It smells like pee in here. Nah, maybe not. It smells like coffee. Anyway, if you want to join the Discord room, here, I'll drop the link in here. I think this is it. Yep. Come on in. Again, just be prepared. Have an open mind. If you come in here and try to tell me how things work for your perspective, then start your own Discord board and I'll join that. But if you're coming here to tell me how you trade, it seems kind of, ass backwards. It doesn't make sense. Again, everybody can. Again, there's not one way to trade. Let's keep that in mind. Like I admit that very, very obviously. There's not one way to shave the cat, or whatever that analogy is, skin a cat. But in general, please come in with an open mind. That's all I ask. Hit me up on Twitter too if you ever have any questions. A lot of the trolls have been out the last couple of days, and usually the trolls get really loud, really obnoxious at extremes. Keep that in mind. That's why I love the feedback. Even if it's bad, I want to hear these folks who think they're smart. Because if they're really smart and they're arguing with me, they're not evidence-based traders. Because that's what we base our trades off of. It's not like I'm just sitting here going, magic crystal ball, what's to short today or go long? Or, oh, I feel like the fundamentals for this stock makes... No, we don't do that crap. Fundamentals, no. I want to see it in the charts. I want to see money acting on the ideas to confirm it. I hope that makes sense. I think a lot of people just not sure what planet they're on when it comes to trading, that they think somehow they're going to beat billion-dollar hedge funds, institutions, algorithms, I mean, whatever, the market in general, by being a feel trader, or I'm going to just go with the gut and what I'm told. Again, Blue Horseshoe loves Anacott Steel. That's bull snap. Remember? Bull crap. Like, that's what you're told. You're told. Why? Because, again, they can't steal your money. I've tried to warn you. Market makers cannot steal your money. You have to donate it. And you have to donate it generously. But you get a tax write-off. So it is a donation. Keep that in mind. If you're newer to trading, newer to the Discord room, newer to everything in general, here you go. This is back to basics. I'm telling you, 57 videos. I could probably do a few more, but have a topic and I'll dig into it. I mean, options expiration, aka ChopX. Notice the first couple days of the week talked about. Usually the week goes in one direction and then another direction the rest of the week. If it's not going to be completely chopped out, well, up, then down. Well, here you go. And that's how it played out. Sometimes it's down, then up. Anyway, anyone have any questions, thoughts, concerns? Because at this point, I can just show you what I'm doing, what I'm up to. If not, we can, we can just cut it. All right. Well, let me actually start here. First, what is this? Flex LNG. I hate natural gas. So this might be ironic that this is where it's going to start. I hate natural gas. And I don't hate it from the sense of like revenge trade. No. I mean, we had some really good trades on it earlier in the year. However, playing the UNG sucks. Because why? I mean, that fund just deteriorates. It's like trying to, grab water with your hand. It just does. It's just whenever you think you got it, it just melts. And if it doesn't melt, then it's boiling and it's going to hurt to hold, and you're going to feel nervous the whole time. At this point, I like this stock first. Flex, whatever, LNG. I see Congress is loading up on it. And, okay, well, take all that out of the fact. What is this chart doing? There's been a bear market. What is Flex LNG doing? Something's wrong here. This chart didn't get the memo. This chart did not get the memo. Just watching this. Again, not buying it today. Putting the levels out there. Just started charting it. Saw it the other day and was like, I can't remember what was it. Dan Crenshaw. I don't know. There's a bunch of Congress folks starting to load it. And if they're loading it, and we got a lot of natural gas to send to Europe, China, I don't know, whoever. We got it. We got the gas, y'all. We got the gas. And so I'm watching. I mean, I guess you could argue this is like a head and shoulders top, which I'm hoping. So I'm going to put this on the radar. SPY. Had SPY puts. Took him off today. Why would you take him off today? Well, because we hit the bottom of my range. Bought him up here. Sold him down here. Could it go lower? Yes, absolutely. I'm expecting it to. But again, I had short-dated puts for some of this, and I'm like, you know what? Are you happy with a triple? I'd be happy with the triple. Yeah, I was. And then I was watching it, and I was going, what is green? What is green this morning? Oh, hey, Tesla. And I was watching, I'm like, oh, 8-day. Okay. 8 and 10-day confluence. I mean, the top is in my opinion. Could I be wrong? Maybe. But I was looking at Tesla Q calls and was like, wow, they're not stupid expensive like they were when we bought puts on the Tesla Q. No, what did we buy? We bought Tesla Q calls. Man, this has been not complicated, but trying to remember. We bought calls when we told you Tesla's going to fail. That was a freaking banger. And then talked about if you wanted to, you could short it, right? Because Tesla's going to go higher. That thing was going to go lower. What did Tesla... I mean, let's look at it. Just kind of curious. These leverage ETFs are kind of fun to trade. Man, I went from 93 down to 42. Not too bad, right? I mean, Tesla... I mean, again, shorting leverage ETFs, I'm always a bigger fan than actually buying them. But when the calls seemed pretty cheap, I was like, you know what? Give me a month out. Give me in the money. I think they're $4 or something for the 43. I mean, they've got some weird strike prices. 43, 43. Like, yeah, okay. I'll trade that. I'll trade that. So that's all I'm really in today as of adding. Overall, remember, shorted gold. Again, there's no question, so I'm just, again, which is good. We talked about if you're shorting gold, remember we bought puts when it was playing games up here. Got stopped out, rebought them, kapow. IB explodes, huge gap, told you take the profits. Then said watch for it to rise back. Well, then you could re-add. Now you're at the range lows. Now again, shorting gold independently, I think is not as easy as shorting the miners, because the miners will get absolutely donkey punched, slammed around, WWE diamond cut, whatever you want to call it, smoked. Gold could chop around, because geopolitical stuff, it's kind of hard. So trying to be a little thoughtful about it. But again, GDX, I mean, did anyone see AEM today? We'll talk about it here in 2 seconds. Here's a GDX at the 150-day or 200-day. Watch said watch it. AEM misses by a penny. Kapow. Miners in a bear market get sloppy and choppy. Now, again, I think there is going to be, remember we talked about buying this stuff down here, trading it. There is going to be an opportunity at some point down the road. Now, don't get all giddy because it's gonna, it's down a bunch. Just be patient. Like, it's like letting the trade come to you. So let the trade come to you. Jay Solis, I'll do Apple here in a second. Let me get there. So miners, if you're long the dust and you bought it down here, again, we don't chart it. There's nothing here. There's no lines to draw. Said watch, it could probably easily get up to 14 or 15. If you want to take profits up here because you've hit your targets and that's what we talked about, fine. My core position, not taking it off. I am not taking my pants off, nor my shorts. I'm going to do this video with my pants on. No, but in general, I think it doesn't, I mean, again, you can trade around it if you want. But at a certain point, I don't have the bandwidth to manage and watch this stuff. I just know that gold miners typically do crappy going into OPEX of February. They chop around. At some point, they can bounce, but they typically get absolutely burned in the second quarter. Go check the seasonality if you don't believe me. Do your own homework. Again, I am not responsible for your trades. I'm giving you advice and evidence base. You have to execute. Let's get to Apple. Speaking of fruit, we talked about this being the top right here. And the arrows are still there. This was the blow off novice gap distribution top. Yep, I'll look at TLT here in a second. I'll do that one after this. Look at this. Talk about the top, and then it retests. And people, I mean, yesterday, people, how many times? I think I did 2 shorts that day, 2 more shorts that day. Again, just say that day. No, that day, layering in. Stock, now puts. Remember, what do we talk about? The first top, hard to pick tops with options. Second tops, mwah, bellissimo, me gusta. Love it. Effing love it. Because then the retest, what happens? The IBs come down, and now you know your stops. Where you, again, this is why I always tell you, like, read the option rules. The best time to pick a top or bottom with options is on the retest. This is the remix. So I got Apple 155 and 152.50 puts. And when the first dump gets down to probably somewhere around 147, I'll take off my near-dated 152.50s and hold my 317 155s. Other than that level, let's get into it. I mean, I guess these are good times to talk about it. I would think you get back down into this 140 level at some point. When? I don't know. But here's the thing. What's going to happen at some point is that in a trend, even in a downtrend, remember, the straight line is at the end. Keep that in mind. Straight line is at the end. You'll drop. You'll pop. You'll take your options off. You'll take a little bit of your short off. You'll keep your core position, potentially in case it does unwind and go absolutely bonkers. And what you can do is add longer dated puts on the bounce. I would look at, would make sense, right? filling the gap, right? Everyone's going to be like, oh, the gap filled, got to buy it, right? Take note of this. Probably fill the gap. Probably could bounce a little bit. Would watch probably a bounce back to 150. That's how I'd look at it, and then reshort it if the market. Again, let's not pre-plan anything. Let's have our notes. Let's have our targets, and let's see if the evidence plays out. Because I hate when people go get an automated trading in the sense that like they don't look at what's going on around them, because again, the evidence can change. Something can change. Just keep that in mind. And I'm not anticipating it because we can't predict the news. I don't have a magic crystal ball. I'm not from the future, as some people like to pretend. But let's just let it play out. So I got a request for the TLT, which is a good one. The problem with the bond market, and let me just throw this out there. We talked about failing up here at the 200-day, going lower, breaking the trend line, looked bad. The hardest thing that I struggle with in the bond market, again, because I think it's probably going to go lower, higher rates, obviously, but there is an absolutely huge effing short in the bond market going on right now. Like the spec positioning is ultra short bonds, which to me is like, got to be careful, because that's tinder for a fire or a wick being lit for a freaking blast up. I've said this a lot about the TLT. I personally think rates are going higher, but here's the thing about volatility in the bond market. That's what I'm looking for. If the rates go significantly lower, then the market is telling you right now, recession, here we come, inverted yield curve, game over, right? So at this point, I already got monster inversion in the yield curve. Anyway, it hit my alarm. It hit it today. Again, I don't have any positions in it. It's been a good trade. Do I think the TLT is worth shorting going forward? Again, if you got a core position, sure, trade around it. But at some point, just know that in the back of your head, that the spec positioning in in the bond market is extremely short. Now, again, I don't know who in their right mind would want to buy bonds other than if they believe a monster recession is coming, which could be. I mean, to me, it's 50-50. Well, actually, it's 50-50 if it happens before the summer. My guess is, again, I've always said this, the Feds have never navigated a soft landing. They don't know what a soft landing looks like. I mean, I love all the memes of like crashing planes and all this crap out there, but that's the truth. They don't know how to navigate, again, because they're always late. They don't have the cojones to raise rates to kill inflation. They're trying to make everybody happy. In the process of making everyone happy, they lose control. They always do, right? You need interest rates above CPI to stamp out inflation. That's what's always worked. Well, again, at some point, keep this in mind too, is that, and I think this is where the whole debt ceiling, debt issue stuff kind of just becomes mute at a certain point. We're not paying back that debt. They have to monetize the debt through inflation. And so that doesn't really make sense for me to ever want to buy bonds, unless the yields are at 10, 12% maybe. Does that make sense? Everyone good with that? Because I think that's a good question, Mr. Young Gun. TLT, I get it. I mean, I think they should go lower. TLT should go lower. TTT inverse, same kind of thing, should go higher. But I just would be always cognizant in the back of my mind of that fact. Because this is the one thing, when I look at, say, like the TLT weekly, this area needs to break. Like this area, think of this as probably the max upside, right? 110, 111. It looks like McDonald's arches here, da-da-da-da-da, I'm loving it, like that should be the M. Let's just see it break. Let's see it break dance. Can you, yep. SMH, I was going to get into them, but again, if you ask a question, I'm going to go to it. I was going to go through all the trades I'm in. I've got through Apple. Let me just kind of go through them in alphabetical order. Yeah, man, congrats on the trade. I imagine you got pretty close to the highs on that short on the bond market. I mean, I love it. I mean, it made sense to me. I mean, we talked about, like, everyone thinks that rates are going lower. It's like, again, I love to talk to mortgage brokers being in real estate because they are the biggest dipsticks when it comes to knowing interest rates. They don't know crap about interest rates. They literally don't know anything. But they're like, oh, you heard it? Something this guy said, rates are going lower. Rates are going lower. It's like, who's this guy? D's nuts? Like, who are you talking to? Oh, this guy, he's been great about interest rates. And I'm like, who? Who dat? No, they don't know crap. I mean, they're literally taking, I mean, if anyone's more wrong than anyone, it's mortgage brokers. Literally. Okay, meta. We talked about shorting here, then talked about the bounce, the short. Near term, man, I don't even want to really watch this, but I'm assuming, because again, meta's crap. The gap. That's kind of my first thought on the easy bounce here, and it might probably happen. It probably won't happen until the end of the month, but it's just going to probably be a slow grind down, and maybe they get an upgrade or a downgrade. But here's another reference point, right? We're coming into it, or you're in. I guess you're technically into it. Could it bounce here? Oh, sure thing. But again, I mean, I'm not really about fundamentals, but I'm about momentum. And if you look at the weekly on Meta, give me the weekly. Talking to myself. Oh, my lines aren't drawn on it. Maybe it's on the monthly. I apologize. Here you go. Here we go. Oh, did I just close that chart? Oh my god, I hate when I do this. No, okay. I hate when I close it because then I can't save it. Look where we came into. Right? The 200 area. Hello. I mean, I didn't really think you'd even get above 182, but that was kind of funny. The momentum's lost. Like, the stock is dead. And anyone who's telling you that it's going to wake up and somehow, like, turn into a monster again, they must be sniffing Zuckerberg's hoodies, because that's their high as a kite, man. They got to cut the fat. It's gonna take years, and again, even then, it could just be in a sloppy, choppy mess. Think of some of the past tech names that have gone into like the hurt locker for weeks or months, not weeks or months, years. Like that's what they're gonna go into. So we're gonna trade the obvious short, and when it's done, let it go. Because again, at a certain point, I don't know how low it can go, but I'm not gonna sit around and trade it because there'll be better opportunities. Microsoft, for the friends who are in it, I'm not in this one. Look great. Talked about this 270s level. I mean, you're into the next point of reference. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Probably 250 area due to bounce. But the trend is broken. I mean, you can see straight up, boom, pulling back. And again, straight line moves at the end. Yeah, Biden smelling hoodies. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But it held the 20-day. Again, it's the Friday of OPEX. I'm not... Again, I've got a lot of people getting really like feisty about up and down and IWM and this. And it's like, guys, probably a pin action day. And if it's not, even better. And if it is, cool beans. Not really like sweating it. Netflix, this one's been a nice little chop top. Talked about breaking the 20-day. Oh, but it's dojing today. Come on. What are you sniffing here? Let it go. This is the chop top. That's the blow off. Here's the retest. Pam. I mean, I guess that's typically the retest, blow off, and then here's another bearish signal. There's your professional gap, starts to move, and now it's just kind of working its way lower. Trend is broken. I think you can see like this 338 level pretty soon, 335 to fill the gap below. In my mind, I was born in Carolina. No, I was actually born in Carolina. Somewhere. I mean, you see how it's all going to play out, and then it'll bounce a little bit. Again, think about the bounces being seasonally based. Remember, mid-February is monster pullbacks expected. Probably some chop into the first and last 3 business days of the month, and then it could continue into March. It just depends. We will trade the evidence as it plays out. Like this to go much lower. Tesla, talked about it, shorting it. Makes sense. Again, this thing is piece of shikar. If you know that reference. SMH. Chop top. Loving it. Just a matter of when. Break the 20-day. Break this overhead trend line. Blow off. Novice gap. Trap. Again, it's hard. It's so hard. Sometimes you want it to be this trade. I know. Trust me. I want it to be. My favorite trade for shorting, yes, is obviously the novice gap and just fail. But sometimes it's not that easy. It's a novice gap and chop top. And I talked about that 17,000 times. But people just somehow like forgot about it. Because here's your novice gap bottom. Right? And there is the pro gap. And look, it took freaking 10... Felt like 10 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I wouldn't count it until it breaks below here. But still, but you get what I'm saying here? This is where time, the variable that is the most difficult. Not a matter of if, when does this break? So if you got puts and you got near dated ones, well, you better trade around them when you're up here. Or you better have in the money and you better be ready for some premium destruction and define your risk, right? You just got to be thoughtful about that. And so it's just a matter of when. Not really going to overthink it. Where's the next levels of support? I mean, you got to think about that 233, 235, like you guys were recommending. Agreed. Other people in the room, I can see your comments. Maybe this area. Maybe it fills this gap. I mean, at some point, again, if you don't know the history on semiconductors, I will do it for you. There once was a dot-com bubble that burst, and it took decades to rebuild. Yeah, that's what happens. And again, tech is not... You're always going to hear it. Tech is the future. Tech is always the future. When is it not? But it prices in the future. That's what people don't realize. And so they see the backside and they don't understand it takes years to rebuild. And so look at this mountain as we continue to move slowly into the present day. You start going, holy crap. You better put on the oxygen tank. And so here you are. You're on a back test of the 20-month in the chop zone. I mean, you can see it better on the weekly. Again, when in doubt, zoom out. I have all these questions. People are like, oh, you see this. Look at this. It's a head and shoulders within a head of shoulders. Here's your left shoulder, right shoulder. Here's the left shoulder. Here's your double tap right shoulder. Goodbye. And I'm talking about not a goodbye. So, SMH. Caterpillar. Popped on Deere's earnings. Oh, wrong chart. Straight line move too. Big red. Talked about buying puts on earnings. You're like, you're crazy. He's like, man, I'm buying, I think about one put, not even puts. Let's define it. Put. Because you run up into earnings, it better be perfect or it's coming down. Gaps down, we're like, ooh, yeah. So added some shorts, been trading around it, said watch the 20-day. Now again, I'd love to see this break. And do you hear me get all excited No. I just say watch it, give it time. Under the 20-day. Next, obviously, is the 50-day. It's going to go when it's going to go. And if it's not, you set your stop and you move on. Solar names. First Solar. Did that daily chat yesterday and was like... Or no, sorry, on Wednesday, I was like... They were asking this day. It was like, I like 170, 169, but I'd like to talk to you in like 3 or 4 days. Well, look what it did. Because again, we know First Solar is just sloppy and choppy. Like, as soon as you think it's like instantly a short, you probably need to wait an hour. You probably need to like give it another $1. You know what I mean? Like as soon as you think it's a short, like probably goes $1 higher or $1 lower. Well, here he goes. Meh. Congratulations. I can't remember who asked me about that, but either way, watching what happens here. You have the trend line in the 160s. Could it bounce there again? I mean, at a certain point, probably not, because it has chopped out. And remember, this is solar. This is crap. No one needs this stuff when oil and gas prices get slammed. The future green stuff is all just a hype. Again, there's so much oil in the ground. It's the second most plentiful liquid on the planet. It's just harder to find, obviously, and it burns. It's not great. But the whole green energy, I love it long term, the idea of it. But you can't force it. You have to transition. You can't just go cold turkey. And solar stuff, to me, overpriced green energy stuff. Because as soon as and again, maybe this is the year that it tops out. But I guarantee, as soon as you get into like later in the year, and you get more in the primary stuff going, you're not going to hear all this green energy crap. They're going to say, we need to invest in our oil and gas infrastructure and find a transition plan. And when they say that, again, I don't see the current administration continuing out. But here you go. Here's First Solar's previous foray with higher oil prices, what it did afterward. Kapow. I like this one, again. I mean, I don't know if it gets complete thrashed, but we have seen it do a dive, right? Would you take a cut in half? Well, what's half of 180s, right? A 90. That's where I got my alarm. About down here. About down there. Maybe these curl up in time. I don't know. That's the monthly. But on that note, let me think of, sure, last but not least, oh God, I'm almost, financials. Your friend. Your good friend. Financials. If you are not short financials. Yes, it is, Siri. I don't know why you what did I say? Financial short. Am I saying short and you think it's Siri? No. Below the 20-day, just a matter of time, not when, not if, when. Congratulations. If you shorted up here in the FAS, we're talking about like the 90, whatever, 91, 90, 92, I think you even got to. Now at FAS 85s. Next support. I mean, let's just draw it at the fibs. I mean, it's literally just draw it at the fibs. Let's also, let me pull up a chart that I typically don't show a ton of time, the 120, because sometimes I like to like add trend, like fibs within fibs. Well, let's take it from the bottom, right? Let's close that old fibby out. And let's redraw it. So the move is over, right? It looks like mid 33s would probably be the strongest bounce point. All right. Yeah, mid 33s. Here you go. Oh, sorry, right here. All right, lines up pretty good. That's probably the best, because also there's the volume at price zone starts adding in. I mean, you could really, and again, we'll get there when we get there. I mean, remember, financials are going to get smoked. All right, Scott. Oh God, retail Scott. You're gonna hate me when I talk to you like this, but I really want you to like think about stuff, because you ask a lot of questions and I give you answers, and I feel like you don't really listen to me. And you're saying rug pull coming at the end of the day, it's going to get nasty. I'm actually going to disagree with you, because that's what everybody believes. And what is today? OPEX. They're probably going to try to pin the market, Scott. Maybe they pin it and then drop it at the very last moment, say in like power hour, but I'm not sitting here expecting a ton more today. But you telling me that makes me probably confident it might not happen. I hope I'm wrong and you're completely right, though. But we'll see. I mean, personally, again, when you look at the market, right? You're at the trend line. You're at the range lows. You just went from 413 down to 403, 404, whatever. I could care less if it takes a day. Take your time, Judge Smales. Line up that putt. I don't care. Take your time. Sniff it out. Again, I smell, again, I hate being a contrarian to a lot of things you say, but I don't know if you've woken up, meaning like you really understand this stuff. Maybe I'm the idiot for questioning you, maybe. But yeah, when you get excited, I get nervous. And when you get nervous, I get excited. I know that sounds mean to say, but there are people that I follow that are. I mean, even like yesterday, there was people who were getting excited about gold, and I'm like, nah, you're not the people that I would get. I don't. You guys show up to the party, I swing out. I take a break. I go smoke a J, go hang out, take a walk. But it's nothing personal, man. And some of y'all get it, some of y'all don't, and it's not mean. And I'm telling you right now, the people who seem to get the most excited about trading versus just letting things happen are the ones that they don't even realize their emotions are not their friends, man. As soon as you get excited about things and the market just makes you feel like you're invincible and you're right and you're a novice, or man, I don't care if you've been trading for 10 or 15 years, but you're not like someone who's dug deep into the markets. Those people get excited. They give me a call. They're calling me about Tesla. They're the people that when they call me about Tesla, I'm like, check, please. I mean, again, I think I told you guys, I've been playing basketball, poker, hanging out, doing things with a lot of friends on the side this week because my wife has been out of town. And they're all bullish. Semiconductors is their favorite trade. I think I talked about NVIDIA, Taiwan Semi, and Intel were the top three. We'll look at Taiwan Semi. Well, Buffett ruined their dreams. NVIDIA. I mean, literally, we were talking the day I was talking, I think it was Tuesday of this week. Yeah, 220s. I don't know what that sound is, but it's just kind of addictive to make with your mouth. Intel, I don't even want to show Intel. It's just crap. But does this make sense? And again, this isn't like a reflection of you, Scott. It's just like the way that people talk. And we've talked about oil and gas. Like, dude, you love oil. And I'm like, dude, I've been trying to warn you. Like, be careful. Be careful. It's going to be choppy. You're betting on geopolitical unrest, which, again, If that's how you want to bet it and that's your frame of mind, good luck. But I wouldn't touch oil. I wouldn't touch gas. I've been like trying to literally take people behind the woodshed, spank them, and tell them leave it alone. There's easier trades. Look at oil. It's in a choppy, sloppy mess. It looks like a Head and Shoulders top, maybe. Again, let me see lower prices before I even get interested in the market not getting smoked. Well, the market's about to get smoked. Natural gas is at the lows. I want to buy it? I don't think so, Tim. I think, again, there's always better trades. That's where I don't think people know how to pivot mentally. If you don't know how to pivot mentally, that's your problem. Just because you look at a chart and you think you see something, zoom out. Look at more charts than just one. It's like pretending that the first girl you see you're going to marry. Oh, I saw a pretty girl. I got to marry her. It's like when you're a teenager, you're an idiot. There's like that one cute girl in middle school, and you're like, she's my dream girl. Well, you're an idiot. Because as soon as you get into college, there's about 1,000 dream girls on campus. And then when you get in the real world, you realize, and again, girls are guys. I'm not going to be prejudiced on that. There's plenty of great people out there. So you resort back to your like infantile thought process of like, oh, I've studied. Again, someone's asking me about Nucor. I've been watching Nucor real tight. What do you think? Held the 20-day. I mean, I think it's going to go lower, but aren't there easier trades? No. I believe the steel industry is this and... Are there easier trades? No. I know this chart. Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. You know the chart? Well, then be prepared to know, as we've said many times, I don't think shorting commodities really makes sense. Because all the risk is to the upside if geopolitical stuff happens. But then also, too, they can get smoked if the market drops. So why don't I play the things that if geopolitical risk picks up, they get smoked. And if the market drops, they get smoked. Wow, that seems so much easier, Dan. Why would I want to do that? Well, hold on. Let me go look at materials. So, again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I feel bad. I get told all the time I'm a bully and I'm mean. And again, at a certain point, like my coaches yelled at me when I was an idiot. And it was honestly, sometimes I needed to hear that. And again, I'm not, if you take my tone on tweets or whatever is mean, I'm not trying to be mean. But as a joke in here, I'm like, how many times do you want me to tell you something? My comment in the Discord on XP was that it hit trend, but yes, I don't factor in the impact of softening market, which overrides trend line. Jordan, it's a good question. I don't. And again, this is not to be mean to you. I mean, I feel like, again, unless you're maybe you're not watching the recap, so I'll just preface that. But I've been talking about like just leave it alone. And we talked about it. It's probably going to fail, right? We'll be back at the trend. You always have, and this is the thing. New folks don't get this. Folks have been trading their whole life get this. There is a thing called opportunity cost. Your time is valuable. The best trades out there are the ones you need to be looking for. That's why when we started shorting, right, we're looking at financials, we're looking at tech, we're looking at certain Caterpillar, we're looking at semis, solar. You're trying to look at the broader market. Looks like the ones that are going to be the best shorts. And then as time goes by, you can narrow it down. Well, certain ones are going to be better than others. Does that make sense? Like, think about it. This is the Bachelor, or Bachelor, I can't remember, whatever. And we're trying to, like, interview all the different candidates and figure out which is the best one. And then the one that we marry, hopefully, will win the show. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be the best trade. I don't know how to give unlimited analogies. My wife hates that I give analogies all the time. Yeah. But, no, Jordan, my alarm's going off, too. It's right there. It's going right there. This chart, it's kind of like CF. I'm sitting here, and you guys know I love CF. And once we gave it up, it was like letting your friend go and saying, goodbye, I love you, I won't short you, but I let it go. And now it's just like every day I'm like, anything? No. Oh, look at that, it popped. I mean, it's just, at some point, again, I have this sweet hope and desire that it'll fill this gap here at the 74 range. Because then it would be like a bear trap, Jordan. Bear trap, wash everyone out, then start the real move up. But there's just times, it's just hard. It's just hard to pivot mentally, and I get that. And that's why I make jokes, try to make people laugh. But I don't want to feel like I'm hurting anyone's feelings. I don't mean it in a way that's meant to be mean. Because again, the reality is like I have to be better about it. Everyone has to at some point. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to be willing to admit you're wrong in trading more times than not at certain times, right? Like that's the thing, right? People go, "Oh, you're from the future. You're always right about certain things and certain time." Like, no. The people that know exactly. We're usually early. Timing is hard. We try to get the best price levels, but sometimes we're wrong about the price levels too. That's just the nature of it. Again, even if you bet, you're 80. Again, we win 80% of the time, but that 20% of the time can sometimes creep up. I mean, you can win 8 in a row, and then you might lose 3 in a row or be wrong, right? Like that's just part of the game. And so in your mind, like the problem is always not what to do with your winners. It's what you do when you're wrong. That's going to define your success. That's ultimately always going to define your success. Because again, you're right 10 times in a row, you make it whatever X percentage. Well, the one time you're wrong, what do you lose? You better hope it's small. That's the goal. Small losses. Always small losses. Be thankful for small losses. Think of them as like dodging car wrecks, not getting hit by lightning, not getting stuck in the rain, no traffic on the way to work, whatever. I mean, like little, like just like something like, got lucky, right? Because probably one time, because usually what happens with small losses, right, is if you didn't take them, what do they become? Big losses, because sometimes you're just going to be wrong. And I'm not sitting here ever going to tell anybody that I'm omnipotent or let anyone believe their own bull snap. Like you can't be. You just can't be. I don't care if you've been right every time, 20 times in a row. You're going to be wrong at some point. And I think people don't realize, like at my lowest, I literally lost 20 times in a row. And it taught me something very valuable. Like no matter how smart you are, and again, I've obviously, hopefully have evolved and got smarter over time, but what it taught me is that if you can survive being wrong that many times in a row, you're going to be fine. And these were in the darkest, deepest times of trading gold in the miners. Hence why I always tell them, like, my education in those material names is by far probably, of everybody who is posting on the internet, I would say that I'm the best at posting on stuff. But I don't post a lot about gold, so it's only when it's very obvious to me. But anyway, that's just me being humble about gold and silver, because again, my tuition is 7 figures in gold, silver miners. You would think I would learned a lot from all those losses, which you would be correct. It's not because I just woke up smart. No, it's because I got absolutely destroyed trading those names and not being, literally seeing the hardest part of the market makes everything else simple. And that's why I tell people, like, if you can survive a bear market in trading, oh God, wait till it's the bull market. It's going to be easier than all. UNP. Someone's got a question about UNP. Man, that whole all that stuff going on in Ohio is just, man, sad. I know that's Norfolk Southern. I'd take UNP under 200-day short. Well, I don't think you're getting to the 200-day short. Unless, I mean, it's, the trade's already started. I mean, this is like a rolling top. It's just a rolling top. Now, again, obviously, rails aren't the kind of companies that are going to go out of business. This isn't like the Wild Wild West. I mean, see, I don't talk about rails a lot because they don't move. Again, they're really good in bull markets coming off of lows because they usually get slammed, and people always need rails. It's kind of like real estate and oil. When they get beaten up enough. This trade just looks too hard to me. Again, I mean, what's your downside here? 184. You're already at 199. 15 points. I mean, I think you can find 15 points in a lot of trades. So I would say this trade, for me personally, unless you got in around 214 under the 200-day, then I don't think there's really much to do here. That Norfolk Southern stuff in Ohio is absolutely devastating and disgusting. How this is not being talked about is sad. But probably by saying that, all of a sudden my YouTube channel will disappear. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? It's been 45 minutes. Here to educate. Ask questions. Don't be scared of me making jokes or taking it, trying to make it fun. But if you really want the answers, I'm going to try to answer it the best you can. And that's what you have to That's what you have to really want. You know, I used to be that guy when I was learning from certain traders and asking them questions like, why? Help me. Let me help you then too. Like, I try to go out of my way to like answer the other questions for other traders or people involved in the institutions we're in, or talking to the folks who've been involved as we were teaching this stuff to folks. Just for the fact it's like, hey, if you're going to give me the answer, I'm going to help others so you don't have to be repeated answer to everyone all the time. Because there were times where I've been deep into teaching this stuff. But anyway, long story short, you can't be scared to ask. You got, the desire to learn has to be has to be more important than anything else. Because I know it's the folks who ultimately will not quit and study their butts off are the ones that are going to win. It's the one, again, you're not going to be great at anything just by showing up. You got to do the work, and you got to love it. You got to love it. What's up, Jeff? Or Zeph. Sorry, Zeph. Yeah, Tesla. I talked about it earlier in the recap. I've always been, again, people who know me know I've never been good at picking Tesla tops. I'm usually either early, and then when I'm right, it's really right. And the reason why I'm really right is usually it's because I'm late. Like, it's already confirmed. And so to me, I don't mind shorting it today small. Again, buying some Tesla Q calls. It makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that we're going to see these 180s at some point. And again, I'd rather be thoughtful about longer term on it. I mean, this gap down here is going to fill. Absolutely. This is a gap. Will fill. And what else? I mean, actually, you know what it's time to do? It's time to redraw the fibs because the trend is over, in my opinion. Oh, look where they line up. Perfect. Oh, God. You gotta love, man. All right, y'all. This is why I love fibs. And again, when the trend is confirmed, with the fibs line up in important areas, look where the 618 lines up, right at the gap fill. Then at the 0.5, the gap, you can't be making this crap up. 0.382, nice little area. 0.25 right here. I mean, it's like, no, Zeph, it's a good idea because you just made me realize I'm like, the trend is over. It's time to redraw the fibs. Duh. Look at this. And this is why fibs are important because people don't realize like the market is like organized chaos, but the computers are using Fibonacci's. It's controlled. Oh, but the market's rigged and I can't figure it. No. Nope. It's like the casino. There's rules to the game. You got to get the odds in your favor. Know how to count cards? Yep, then do it. No apologies, my friend. Just donate 30 cents. Super chat 30 cents and I'll let you back in. No, I'm just kidding. It's a good question because you just made me think. I'm like, why have I not redrawn the fibs? Well, the reason why I haven't redrawn them is because today I literally did nothing other than when SPY hit the bottom, I just shorted Tesla on the pop. It was like A to B and then move on. Nothing else has been done today. Honestly, really not even looking at the market. I'm just kind of laughing at the Discord room going, oh, what's going to happen? The market's still strong. It's not done yet. Okay, maybe you're right. Again, but in the route from point A to point B, straight line moves are typically at the end. I don't get this. I don't get that. I don't get why people don't get this. I say this religiously, constantly. The straight line moves are typically before what? Chop or the end of the move. Right? You start dumping, now it gets choppy. You start dumping, it gets choppy. Now it dumps again, it's probably the bottom. And the volume showed up at the low. So it's definitely the bottom. And again, we talked about you could buy it down here. I took 20 points on this. It was like, yeah, whatever. I just didn't want to hold through earnings. I always hate earnings. But now here we go. Tesla, was it time? I don't know. It was time to short. We talked about this being a trap and then the retest. Oh, God, look at this candle yesterday. I mean, that's all you got to see. This candle yesterday says game over. Actually, you know what? Because I'm feeling it. I'm just going to put game over. Just so there's no mistaking. Game over. And I think a lot of people who remembers me saying this, everybody goes, it's going to the 200 day, Dan. It's going to the 200-day moving average, man. You don't know, dude. Just wait for that short. Okay. Well, the game over candle showed up. This is game over. 200-day? Probably not. Probably not. Now, again, I try to, there's nothing certain. But when I look at this and I go, let me calculate the odds of going 200. This candle says game over. 95% chance it's done. Well, 95% says to me, well, I need to get a short on that sucker on any bounce. Now, again, if it goes higher, I will probably add. That's why I was just like a little starter position. If it doesn't, cool. I mean, that's the problem with being late. You can't chase. Can't go big. I mean, you can technically go bigger later. But what do we talk about? You always want to bounce. You don't want to chase the short down, right? You want to wait for the bounce. Does that make sense? Like, that's why I was feeling like chasing. It's just like, it's like you're almost, again, here's an interesting analogy. It's almost like dating. The people that are chasing are the losers. People that are letting their, guy, girl, whatever they're into come to them because of their confidence and they know what they're doing are the winners. You can smell it. Smell confidence. That's what chasing does to me, is it messes with my mind. And then, I'm like, I hope. I don't like hoping. I like shorting on a pop. Because then I know it's easier to find my stop loss. I probably don't have my line drawn perfectly. But it's close enough for government work. You're correct. It's just too many. Sometimes you get all these boxes and they overlap and everything gets a little funky. So now I got to draw this box again. Come on. There you go. Good girl. There you go. Yep, you're correct. So, hope this helps. Again, I'll wrap this up if we're done. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm literally not going to sit around and watch this and be like Scott and like, expect the crash. No, him saying that gets me thinking. 405, pin, ding, 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 ding. Look at it. Up and down, dollar around 405. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, the market's going higher. Dan, the Bulls are going to win later. Oh, man, you don't know. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, whatever. Okay, sure thing, boss. Yeah, hey, here and now. That Steve Grasso tweet, I don't know if you saw me respond to it yesterday, and hence why you're posting it, but that was a joke. He just bought... Look at this crap. And again, Steve Grasso, I used to respect. Just bought... Again, but he's probably bought off by the market maker. He literally just bought it. How... I mean, again, imagine if you were a financial advisor, respected financial personality on CNBC, and this is the crap you're telling people. Buy the dip on Tesla. Again, I will never get invited onto CNBC. But I guarantee you, if you guys ever see me in like public talking about stocks, the only way I would talk about a trade is if I felt 100% sure it was going to happen. Because again, I would just tell most people more times than not, like, unless you're at an inflection point or near something, it's really hard to know. And that's the thing I talk about, like trying to find the most obvious trades. Again, it's just like pivoting and trading. Like, well, what's obvious? People are like, don't realize, like, yeah, I don't, I'm not always trying to hit a home run. And when I do stake swings for swing trades, they're for grand slams. And then when I do day trades, they're not for singles and doubles. They're usually like, well, I guess they are like doubles and triples. Like, they have to be very obvious. And I like to go no time very quickly at an inflection point. Some of y'all, and again, I don't know if Ready Set Sell is in here, or Roth, or Sonny, or Jay, or Eric. I mean, you guys have seen, like, it's like, all right, we think the market's going to dump. I have to follow that yesterday. But he took a short on the Qs with no time. And I'm like, oh! I was like biting my finger, like that awesome, like that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio and Wolf of Wall Street. And he's like looking at what's her name, and he's biting his finger like, ah! I'm like, that's a winner. Sometimes I get in too early. I just shut the thing off for a day, and then I get a surprise. The market can play with your emotions. And that's the thing. That's why trading is hard. If you're emotionally based. And this is why my wife, as you can imagine, thinks I'm a robot sometimes. Do you think I'm the best communicator in a relationship because I have learned to like mute my emotions? She's like, how do you feel about it? I'm like, nah, whatever. Because that's what I've like trained myself to be when it comes to trading. I'm never trying to get high or low. I'm trying to be evidence-based. And so dealing with a woman, unfortunately, who all women are more emotionally in touch with themselves, right? Men are kind of just zombies at times. Men are from Mars, whatever, women are from Venus. That's my problem. But it's the way I'm wired. Like, I don't want to get emotional when I'm winning. I want to be evidence-based. Or if there's a problem, I'm not going to cry about spilled milk. I'm like, let's focus on what's going to work. That's what I try to do. So now again, if that offends you, I'm just trying to be honest. Like, that's the reality. Most men are stoic. They're not emotion based. Women are. But here's the thing. Women who get in touch with trading and understand their emotions, man, they're way better traders than men at times. Seen it. Because they can be like, they can feel it way better than men, and they're like, oh, this feels wrong. They can feel it. It's pretty impressive. Men are just kind of, again, well, actually, I guess some men do trade on emotion. Let's not sound like it's all or nothing or one or better. But I've seen that a lot. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Yes, no need to hit for the fences. Single doubler's fine, just as long as you end up green. Yeah, again, you can't go broke with profits. Shannon, I'm left-handed, so maybe it messed up my emotions. Probably not. I don't know. I'm ambidextrous, and so maybe that's why I'm good at shorting and going long stocks. No, I'm just kidding. I am ambidextrous on certain things, but I think this is the thing you can, and this is, again, that Psycho-Cybernetics book. Let me drop this in here. If you've ever read this book, this is one of the books that I showed some of the guys and gals who've been around for a long time. If you really want to rewire yourself, because again, I love, Randy House stuff. But if you want like the scene, like the applicable of all of it, here it is. I'll drop the link. It talks about like the difference between a pro golfer and your club pro, and say like Tiger Woods. The pro golfers, your club pro, whatever, they're all amazing at golf. They are all amazing at golf. They all shoot scratch. They all shoot under handicap. Like, they're all badass. Well, what's the damn difference between Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson and Jack Nicklaus, right? And some of the other greats. It's all mental and their work ethic. Those guys love to get better. Those guys and gals, I mean, it said there's a great women golfer too. Like, they love the process of learning. And it's given them such a point in their confidence that when they make a mistake, they don't let their confidence fall down. They believe that the next trade, the next shot they'll make, they will make. Because they believe in the game and they've taught themselves how to manifest the best results. And again, talk about Tom Brady in the book. Same thing. Like, the guy will throw an interception. But you still believe he's going to win the game every time, right? Well, why? Because he has like this belief in himself because he's practiced so hard. I mean, again, apply it to any great in any field. Michael Jordan, right? Anybody. Like, these guys love the process, and it's not emotional. Like, making a mistake doesn't bother them. It doesn't trigger them to go in the tank. Oh, I missed a trade. Well, I'd give up. Oh, I'm early. I'm wrong. Oh, I made a mistake. I shouldn't trade anymore. No, when you make mistakes, you do things wrong, study the past. Like, how do you think I figured out? People were like sitting here like, what is going on here? The double tap trap on the SPY. We talked about this. It's become a repeating pattern. Double tap, there's your trap. Double tap, there's your trap. Trap, double tap, right? Same kind of thing, right? We're seeing this a lot, right? Double tap, trap, then go. Double top, trap, then fail. Trap, double tap. Are you guys seeing this? It's like, all right, if I think I'm wrong about the market, well, then let me go back and see if there's something I'm missing because I'm obsessed with trying to figure out what's going on. It's like, double tap, novice gap. Okay, remember we talked about tops and bottoms during OPEX and first of the month. If you've watched the video, okay, first of the month, is that a novice gap trap on window dressing? Okay, well, it took 2 weeks. Sorry it didn't happen on the 3rd. It looked like it, but then look what happened. For example, here you go. Time. I can't. How many people remember this low down in freaking June? Remember we called the bottom here, and then like I was telling like, oh my god, I think we're good. And then it came back, oh damn, and then it redid it again and got over the 20-day. I was like, again, biting my knuckle, like, oh, that's it. That's definitely it right there. We talked about, I mean, I still have the circle, like that 50-day pullback. I'm like, I think you can buy that. Zink. And then it went, and I thought the short was here. Again, you can expand the zone. I thought, you know. And then what it did, it gapped up, and I was like, oh, that's the novice gap. We must be close. Stopped out. And then it was like, watch the 200-day. Here you go. You see the box. I'm like, I go a little above it, get the 200-day or the trend line. Literally tapped it. It was like, pfft. And again, if you started shorting up here, it was like, ugh. You got stopped out. It hurt, I know. Sometimes you're going to be wrong. But then reloaded, it was like, yes. And again, this bottom was real hard. I still remember people freaking going nuts. Dan, what are we doing? I think we're there. And then they gave up, failed. And then we talked about the pullback to the 20-day. Remember, I was biting my knuckle like, and then it did this. I mean, this is hard. And then it traded around in November, December. We talked about how, you know, end of the year profit taking is going to jump. And then watch what happened in mid-December. I was like, you're done with tax loss selling. Remember, got real bullish here. It's like it's just a matter of time. January effect was coming. Remember, January effect was coming. Wrote it up. And then been neutral to short since. Played some ups, played some downs, and then it was like, okay. And now here we are. And people are bullish. People are doubting it. Again, I mean, I can understand. Could it chop more? Again, it's always possible. It's always possible. But the short is the trade. Everybody's bullish. Everybody's an idiot. Are you an idiot? I'm an idiot? No. Your emotions, you can feel it. Every stupid person I know out there is bullish. They are calling me. Hey, do you think I should put my money back in my accounts? Or do you think I need to, you know, I've got this cash I need to put in the market? They weren't calling me down here. They're telling me, what do I do now with the market? Should I take my money out? They may have, which I don't, again, some people listen, some people don't. Now we're at the other side of it. And what are people doing? Going long. You smell that? Do you? You smell that? It smells like profits if you're short. At some point, you're going to be fine. But if you got time constraints and you're buying weekly calls and puts and trading, trying to be perfect right now, always, please, I've said this, the variable of time is by far the hardest thing to predict. We can figure out the levels. I think you recognize that. People recognize that. We recognize the levels. We know traps. We know how the game's played, right? We you know, all this stuff is obvious. Right? It's just time. Or how bad do you want to be good at trading? Again, because if you want to study the intraday stuff and you want to get real emotional, fine. But if you want to be like me, have another job that you enjoy, or have hobbies, or take care of your kids, go on trips, have a life, versus sit around the monitors and try to predict every minute, then you're going to have to learn at some point the time variable. Try not to control it. Control your losses, yes. Define your risk, yes, duh. But if you think you got the levels, give yourself time. Don't put yourself in the freaking time basket. You know, don't put yourself in that situation where you're going to screw yourself because, oh, you shorted and you bought February puts. And that's right, dude, I know some of the folks who've blown up and they've hit me. Dan, I bought puts and it hasn't worked out. You said this was probably the novice gap top and it hasn't worked out. Well, what did we say? Trade around your entries in a position, right? Because again, you hope this is the top. And what do we say about all first tops? They get bought. If you don't get a chop top, you will get a buy. There you go. That was the easier short. Well, now what? You have a chop top, and when it fails with a novice gap, it's probably going to drop. And where is it going to go? Probably back into the 390s. That would be your first support. Hopefully it's clear as day. Mid 390s. And the next one's going to be down here in the 380s. Then your next one's going to be down here in the 368 area, and then you're going to, test down here. I mean, again, we'll get there when we get there. Not too concerned about it, but here's your first support. Yeah, Zeph, that's the thing about traps, and that's where if you study this stuff, you're not surprised by them. You're just not surprised by them. And that's the thing. Why do you think I have a ton of people who literally attack me relentlessly? It's because I don't placate to the masses in the bull crap that gets fed. I know the game is meant to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. If that is the case, then doing what the market is always doing is the wrong thing to do, especially in a bear market, right? Bull market, that's fine. Again, at some point, what you'll notice in bull market is the opposite. Like, everyone gets really excited, and instead of it crashing, it just pulls back 10 or 15%. It just starts a pullback. And then if you disappeared and you weren't trading it, you probably wouldn't even notice it 3 weeks later or maybe a month later. But there's a huge difference then in a bear market, because it's going to be hard. And this is what I'm telling you. Like, if you can figure this crap out, and again, this could be a 2 or 3 year cycle. Just keep that in mind. Because again, we have not seen the Feds admit that they're wrong and they have to pivot. And usually that'll start the last leg down. That's where I'm trying to explain to them. Like, we have not seen a VIX. I mean, I'll end it here unless someone has questions. We have not seen a VIX. And check out the monthly. Let me just pull it up, because you got to know this. I mean, this is like, you got to know this. Bear markets, and even not even like, look at just major pullbacks. You got VIXs into the 4750 area. And then in bear markets, obviously, this one was obviously the end of the world. Here was the tech bubble. But again, you had elevated VIX. Keep that in mind. You had VIX sustaining over 31 for a while, for months. Hence why the market dumped. Right? Look where we're at. You think the bear market's over? You are high as a kite, stupid. Not because you are dumb. You're stupid for listening to the people that are telling you that. Does that make sense? That's not to be mean. Wyckoff distribution before the drop E phase. Google it and you'll understand that Dan is talking about. Again, I don't even think it has to be that complicated. I just don't think it has to even be that complicated. You'll know when we're at the bottom. And here, take notes real quick. You'll know you're at the bottom, right? Let me sip on some coffee. 1, everybody you know who trades stocks as novices, as friends, teachers, cab drivers, I guess Uber drivers, restaurateurs, people who just, you're like, you trade stocks? Will not trade stocks anymore. You'll ask them how it's going. Then you're like, I stopped, I quit. 1. Number 2, you will see sheer panic. You will see the talking heads that are bullish now going, you know what, this is probably going to be a couple years of pain here, and the markets are going to go lower, and, we're telling clients to dig in for the long run. It's going to be hard. So they're saying it's going to go way lower, even though it's already dumped a ton. 3, you're going to see, again, you're going to see a blowout of some sort, of somebody, some institution, some sort of fraud, some sort of, what was that? You had Enron, and then you got, what was the guy who was fleecing all the people in New York? I don't know. You're going to see, again, as Buffett says, when the tide goes out, you see who's naked, right? You see all the cheats. You haven't seen that. We haven't seen all the bull crap in accounting. Remember the non-GAAP versus GAAP accounting? Like, yeah, you haven't even seen that Ponzi scheme stuff. And then what I would think is, yeah, thank you, Madoff. Then number 4, and this is how you're going to see a VIX spike. Like, you're not bottoming with a VIX in the 30s. You're going to see the market move 5-10% in a day, and it's going to blow your freaking mind. You're going to see moves in trades and stocks, and you're going to go, your head is going to be spinning so hard that you're like, what is up and what is down? You're literally going to see stocks move in monster ranges in days. And that volatility will be what? It'll be where the market makers have unloaded their shorts and then will be buying. So they're going to create the volatility to unwind all of their last major shorts and also buy. FTX guy was bottom. What does that mean, FTX guy? If you don't mind me asking. Are you talking about, like, for Bitcoin? But anyway, those are the things you should be looking for. And remind yourself, talk in the Discord room. Hit me up if you think you're seeing those things, and we'll confirm it. But you haven't seen those. You've not seen the frauds come out. You haven't seen the VIX spike. You haven't seen the average retail trader who started Robinhood accounts or Schwab accounts just give up. Like, totally give up. Like, trading stocks, oh, that was fun. How did you do? I did okay. I mean, that's what they're going to tell me. And, of course, they're going to have one big and then lost. Because that's how all bubbles burst. right? I think it seemed like Bitcoin crashed on the news as the market was bottoming. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, maybe. Again, I don't really look at Bitcoin as an asset other than, it's more of a retail asset, right? And I believe Bitcoin is bottomed? No. Yeah, that was, I mean, that was a good point of reference, though, for that Friedman stuff. Can't argue that. I mean, I think I've said this. I don't know who wins the digital currency war, but we've seen this with Bitcoin before. Right? Just gets choppy, and then probably a leg down, then it goes. Right? Like let the ball bounce, and then it probably traps more. I know it's hard to see here, but here's like the choppiness before the last drop. That's my guess. That is my guess. But maybe, again, this is the thing. I'm not shorting Bitcoin. I mean, I don't advise anyone to ever really short Bitcoin. But I would profit take. Just the negative news flow. Yeah, and then, yeah, Jordan, that's why, again, I think, were you around when we were talking about the SPY bottoming? Oh, I'm on the monthly, sorry. Down here in December? Were you around? We were talking about the SPY bottoming in October. I mean, it's like all the same things you always see. It's just when people just can never like wrap their head around it. Now, there's now people have been like there's now more people have been around for more than a couple months now in the Discord room, and their vision, laser, they get it, they absolutely get it. So again, hopefully they'll be also around and be like, hey, do you not remember this? And just remember this, because again, I know for a fact. Again, I'll wrap this up here in a second or a couple minutes. People know they get tone deaf to hearing the same thing over and over from me, so they need to hear it from other people. Coincidence that BTC tops it here as the market rolls over. Smiley face. Question mark. Yeah. Yeah. Probably. But here's the thing. Like, this is what's so funny. Gold. Led up. Leading down. The dollar. I mean, it's so obvious where we are. It's just a matter of time. Dollar bottoms. Going higher. Interest rates. Everyone said the rates were going lower. Going higher. Right? I mean, you can go through this. Oil, gas. I mean, I don't have to SPY, whatever. The evidence is built. It's just a matter of when, not if. Yep. But it's hard. I mean, I get it, because no one likes to be the lone wolf. No one likes to be the lone wolf. You have to be comfortable in your own skin and not be emotionally pressured by other people to do what they're doing. Right? Like, how many times and again, I'm guilty as charged. Have you bought the highs or sold the lows? Everybody does at some point. You learn it. Hopefully you don't do it more than once or twice, but that's what happens. You get caught up with everybody else, what everyone else is thinking. I mean, the hardest part about working in finance was being tied into like what's going on always. That's why I love how Buffett is totally disconnected, living a couple hundred miles from here in Colorado. He's just camped out in Nebraska in his own little freaking world. He doesn't need to be involved in finance. He's probably just sitting here, like me, in his basement, drinking Coca-Cola, obviously not coffee, and looking at the stock market going, and he's not watching CNBC, and he doesn't care. And he's sitting there talking to Charlie Munger, who's in his wheelchair, got oxygen, probably smoking a joint, and they're just laughing. Because they're not trying to hit all the big moves. They're probably looking at, Austin talking about United Pacific, UNP. They're probably like, I hope the railroads dump. I want to buy some more on this Norfolk Southern crap. Let me grab me another Coca-Cola. Thanks, Charlie. Hey, Charlie, say something for the microphone. Yeah, Warren, Bitcoin is a fraud. I hate digital currencies. You gotta buy stocks for the long run. Okay, guys, the conversation's over. You two old farts. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? Yes, Soxus, love it. And here's one that I got into early. Told people this. Managed it. Traded around it. I'm basically back to even as we speak. We talked about the 2170s is where I'd get back to even. But again, I don't know how to explain this to people. You just knew it was a matter of when, not if. I thought this was the best place to short, got some more shorts, just camped out. But again, it's one of those things where like the stock's just so cheap in my mind. The stock, like buying it, knowing that here at some point, I mean, I've said this, and I think I've said this every time I ever pull it up. I think you'll see the mid to low 30s at some point. So I mean, am I really that pissed off about it? 23, bought it at 19, and averaged out in the 21s. No, the only thing I can be pissed off about is wishing I would have had a better entry. That's all I can say. And that's why, again, for the love of God, I don't care if you hear me and I sound like I'm bullish or bearish. Do not be an all or nothing trader. I might sound like I'm going to be correct and will be correct, but for the love of God, know that I can be wrong. You can be wrong, and please do not be an all or nothing trader. Because I'm telling you right now, when I'm wrong, you're going to probably be really wrong then. That's the problem here. Is that I can still be wrong, and I know people love giving me advice and telling me things, and I love listening to them. And I know that their intention is to be correct. But guess what? I don't sit there and go, oh, they can't be wrong. No, everybody can be wrong. Look at Buffett. Bought Taiwan Semi. I mean, he probably actually made money on it, but do y'all get my point? Any other last questions, thoughts, concerns? If not, I'm going to the gym. Watch the SPY bounce a point around 405 is my guess. Any other last questions? I'm from the Discord room, from people listening. Buffett, if you have a question, I know you're listening. No, I will not work for you guys. I will not manage your fund. It's not, no. No, I hate Nebraska. Not the state, but the lifestyle. I think I'd get pretty bored in the flats. Any other last thoughts, concerns, questions? I appreciate everybody. Thank you again for the donations. But again, before you pay a donation out, pay yourself. Put money away for taxes. Treat your family. Plan on a trip. Treat your family. Do something good. Because again, you got to build good habits. Put some money in to a fund to start for real estate. Maybe buy gold and silver on the dips. Again, and hedge inflation. But the key will be more of a passive income. You're going to probably want to buy real estate. Talk to me when you're ready to do it. Love to help you out. Love to be a referral. Love to be involved. Again, can give you how I do things and try to like point you in the right direction. Then, if you want to throw a few bucks this way, great. I appreciate that. Because again, the people that do donate, I know for a fact who you are. I keep record of all of you. And then again, I want to help those people more. Because they see the value in getting a free education. Nothing is required. I don't ever require anyone to pay me anything for any advice. And so if you feel that the advice you're getting is good, it's kind of like playing blackjack and the dealer the dealer hooks you up and you win $1,000. Don't you throw him a 20 spot? You win some hands, you throw it. That's all it is. There's nothing required. I'm playing the game whether you play or not. I'm dealing the cards. Don't give a crap. If you like what you hear and you appreciate it and you want the dealer to want you to win more, essentially, throw it in. If you don't, again, I get it. I know a lot of people, 90% of the people in here are coming back from losses. People are working back from mistakes and all sorts of problems. So that's part of the game. Again, just don't let your mistakes define you. Let me end it with that. Do not let your mistakes define you. Let your definition of your life, your future, be what you learn from the mistakes and how to overcome them. Because again, once you quit, the mistakes will define you. You're a loser. You are a loser. You quit. That's the reality of it. But if you are committed to not quitting and learning and growing and being better and practice trading and doing whatever you need to do to get your confidence back, learn, you will now redefine yourself later. It's the people who don't. All right, hope this helps. You guys have a great afternoon. Again, keep in mind, pin action, Friday, OPEX. Could it dump? Maybe. I just don't really care. Have your trades, know your levels, be thoughtful. Also, take time to reflect on what you're going through. Like, look at these charts and then go look at the time frames and go, well, it looks just like a 10-minute, but it look out over 2 weeks. That's the kind of stuff that happens. You've seen 10-minute trades you've been in. It's like, man, snoozer. Like, oh, man, it's been up there for 2 hours. When's it going to fail? Then it fails. It's no different. The repeating patterns are everywhere. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you later.